Wrestling fans, promoters, wrestlers, and anyone who enjoys pro wrestling now have something new to be excited about. The Wrestling Fans International Association, the WFIA, is back. WFIA is an association that exists to promote, grow, and support professional wrestling throughout the world. Membership is free. Your membership includes a free digital bi-monthly publication of the Wrestling Fan News newsletter, association updates, voting privileges, and much more. Please go to thewfia.org, that's THEWFIA.org, and become a member today.
On everybody, this is Rick Del Santo and you're listening to the PWZ podcast, and I want to welcome a very dear friend of mine, Jimmy Kulik, the Woo guy.
What is up, my friend? The prof is in the house. I'm talking to the prof of professional wrestling. That's for sure. See, we can say pro wrestling on this, and we're not going to get our hands slapped by you know who.
It's not sports entertainment. It's not sports entertainment. It's pro wrestling. Let's get that straight. Wrestling.
That's right.
Yes,
that's right.
So I want to welcome you. This is your first time here. Out of no, I think I've known you about 4 years roughly since probably the beginning of the pandemic, and now we of course had a conversation. The audio failed, so we're starting again. So I want to get back into that. We owe our friendship here to one Mr. Don Kincaid, who during the pandemic, instead of keeping things boring and everybody sitting around in their damn houses, Don tried to fix some stuff and keep people interacting with each other. He was doing his Kincaid Files, his Stirring the Pot show. And of course, he was doing the Fan Roundtable, which both me and Jim were a part of. And I had a blast doing that. And of course, eventually, sometimes, things started opening up again, and people, not as many people seem to be jumping in at that. As much as I'd probably still like to be taking part in something like that. But they were quite interesting times, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. Don Kincaid is a complete class act. Nothing like Don Kincaid. The Kincaid Files, Stirring the Pot, whatever you want to name his shows, amazing. Now, let me tell you something. The Fan Roundtable was a much needed diversion during the pandemic. And that was a rough time for everybody. It really was. Yeah. And it's nice things are starting to open up again, which is nice, not to have a mask on everywhere you go. And, like I said, it was Don Kincaid was the, like I said, man, that's the man right there. None better than Don Kincaid. Seen him at a show. The energy that guy is the energy he has is infectious. It's amazing. He's
basically part of the show at times. You know what I mean? Whether he's sitting ringside filming on his phone, the wrestlers somehow make him a part of the show at times, and it's quite entertaining.
It's classic. And the thing is, like I said, and he's got to get that credit he's deserved. I mean, there's none better. And the guy's so talented, and he doesn't even realize it. I tell him that all the time, and he's like, he doesn't even think twice about it. But we give him all the accolades that we can give him because the guy is just, like I said, not just doing that, but just as a person. That's along with everybody else that we had on the round table. I mean, you had some great personalities on there, and it was just an honor to be part of it. Really
I'm trying to remember, sometimes he would bring in independent talent that obviously they weren't doing much, you know what I mean? Obviously nobody was able to work, and that was always fun. Big Juicy was a regular part of it. Donovan was a big part of it. You and I were a big part of it. And sometimes I think at one point the round table got so large that he had to have rotations week by week.
We did rotations. He would tell me about it. He goes, Kulik, might have to bump you off one of the shows because we got so many people coming on. And I told him, I said, hey, man, I'm here if you need me. You know,
Yeah.
I'm that guy that's going to come in with the bases loaded, 2 outs, and try to hit it out of the park for you each time. You know, but yeah, that's no worries. Yeah, you couldn't get better. I mean, Big Juicy is an incredible person. She has turned into one heck of a wrestler. Let me tell you,
Yeah.
she is. So I know you're more up. You're in Connecticut, so you're further out. Like you're up
Yeah.
past like New Haven, right up that way.
I'm like
And
15 minutes from New Haven. Yeah.
okay, so yeah, so you're kind of out further that way. She doesn't really go out that far. Not that I know. She's more of a talent in this area, like the Springfield,
She,
East Hampton. She
she's,
does. She's gotten out the
yeah,
main. I mean,
it's
she's
been a
good.
while. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean, she's
But
very popular here. She's like I said, she is the you should see her. She's the PVP, the Pioneer Valley Pro Women's Champion. And if you go to a show, she is so popular. It's amazing. She's just such a great baby face. And that's kind of like the ones, if you go through the years of professional wrestling, there's certain people that were meant to be heels and meant to be faces. And she's definitely meant to be a face. I mean, I'm talking like Ricky Steamboat, Tito Santana. Those guys were straight baby faces their whole career. And I couldn't
yeah,
imagine those guys as heels. It just wouldn't have made a difference. But she's amazing. She really is. She's
I
great
might
at
throw
what she
you for a
does.
loop. I might throw you for a loop here. Now, I was a little bit too young to see this, but from what I understand, Santana did have a heel run prior to his WWF career when he wrestled in
Really?
Texas. This is
Wow.
what I read this probably a couple years ago. I was appalled, and because I couldn't picture him as a baby face. And I guess it was a discussion group somewhere on Facebook probably saying, one of those, has these people ever done a heel run? Of course, Steamboat was never. Somebody mentioned Santana, and somebody said that he was a heel in his earliest days at one point. Probably not long. They probably realized that this shit's not working.
No, I was gonna say because I mean it's funny because I don't know if you've watched the movie 350 Days. Tito Santana
I
was on
watched it
that movie.
actually recently. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was I
Yeah.
mean that really portrays what those guys went through,
Yeah.
and why a lot of them unfortunately aren't with us anymore because they lived such a hardcore life. All they would do was wrestle, and unfortunately, drinking too much and endeavoring in too many things they shouldn't. But Tito
Right.
Santana was one of the guys that stayed clean for the most part, and he's
Yep.
still going strong. He's actually still. I just saw a thing. I don't know if he's just coming to like a special guest to one of
Mhm.
it's not like a Comic Con, but it's one of the the venues where the older like the legends come in and do like
Yeah.
autograph signings and stuff. But he's still going strong. He's in his early 70s, I think. But I met him a few years back. He's a nice guy,
Yeah.
real
He's
professional.
he's doing a signing here. He's coming to Paradise Alley, is running a show at Taco Fest. They're doing Taco Fest, like a 6 hour
Oh,
show.
nice.
And
Oh, wow.
Mario and Paul are bringing him in for that. So I think that's pretty cool. So I'm probably going to be, I'm probably go to that. I have a
Hey,
very,
wait.
very, yeah. Why
Why
not?
not?
Right? Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, you can't beat the prices for independent shows. They're great.
A lot of, the funny part is it's $20. Normally, it's probably the highest he gets, right? Normally,
Yeah, I
we're going to
mean,
say.
it might be a little bit higher if you get like I know that Blitzkrieg down our way, Jeremy Leary runs that and it's a really good show,
Yeah.
but he gets a lot of the
Yeah.
legends to come in and sometimes the prices are a little bit more, but people have to understand that those guys have to get paid. Because if they're coming in from different parts of the country, they have to. I don't know if they're footing the bill for the airline fare and everything else. So that's why they might charge a little bit more, but it's totally worth it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Some people complain that $20 is a lot, but I mean, $20 it's not much for an independent show. You got to realize that these people got to pay for the building, pay for the town. Everybody there's got to get paid something. You know
oh,
what I mean? And
absolutely.
sometimes some indie shows don't draw a lot. You know what I mean? So, and I really seriously think $20. What are you doing for $20 is too much. I think that you're helping a good cause. I think.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like I said, it keeps the smaller promotions going. And I always tell young families that have kids that are wrestling fans, I try to let them know that honestly, it's the best way to go because you can sit 3 or 4 rows back and it's pretty much all it's going to be. And you get a great view. Whereas like if you go to a bigger, one of the bigger venues like a WWE event or an AEW event, not that they're not great, they are in person. Like I said, I think I mentioned earlier, that's where I started back in the WWF days, back in the late '70s. But I mean, now it's incredible because it's nice because it's kind of like a rebirth of wrestling all over the country, all over the world. The independent shows are where these guys are getting their feet wet so they can get onto the bigger promotions, the All Japans and the AEWs and the WWEs. And there's nothing like it. Independent shows are the best. When my son was growing up, and that's how my son got to meet all the legends. It was great, man. We would drive all over New England. We would go to shows in Rhode Island. We'd go to shows in Boston. We'd go to shows in all over. We didn't go too crazy, but I mean, we went all over. But that's how he met, he met everybody. It was great. He met Jimmy Snuka. He met Jimmy Hart. He's met all the guys, all the legends, Ted DiBiase, Virgil, Ron Simmons. I mean, so many guys that he met, and it's great. It was a great experience for him and I, because I got a chance to meet him myself, which was really great.
When did you discover independent wrestling outside of WWF or the NWA?
Oh, yeah. To be honest with you, I'd say probably back around 2010, 2011.
Oh, really? That late?
Okay. Yeah. I didn't really go to the shows. I would just go to the major shows, like the WWE events or the WWF back in the day. I mean, we would go all over the place. I mean, we'd go all up because they were down this way a lot. I mean, back in the day, Springfield every month had a show, and we would go to all of those. And then when they'd go to New Haven or they'd go to Hartford, or even we went to Providence a couple of times and things like that. But I don't know when it was. It was, like I said, probably back. It was EWA was the first promotion that we went to. And Doc ran that. That was his promotion, and Antonio the Promise Thomas was a big contributor to that promotion. Also, he's a real close friend. He's a great guy. He is one of the most talented wrestlers to ever don the tights, and he doesn't get that credit he deserves. He's amazing. He's just a great guy and a great performer, and he's a great teacher to the young guys. I know that him and the Kingpin Brian Malonis right at the moment are running some type of a school. I'm not sure. I know it's in the Worcester area, and I saw that. And you can't get better than those two guys. The best. I mean, if you're gonna get, anybody listening to your show, which I'm sure you got thousands listening, my friend, and future professional wrestlers, those are the guys you want to talk to because they've been there and done it. And Brian Malonis, I've been watching him for years, and he is, like I said, as far as they call them quote unquote like the super heavyweight. Hey man, you got to give him a lot of credit, man. He's been working out hard. He's dropped like 100 pounds, but even when he was bigger, he still was very mobile and excellent. But I mean, for me, it was the EWA days. That's where I got my baptism into the world of independent wrestling. And like I said, but a lot of guys, Sasha Banks actually. Mercedes, she was Sean Burke's manager, his valet, and we actually saw her. My son got a picture with her. I think it was probably the month before WWE signed her, and we saw her. Yeah, they had a lot of guys. Johnny Gargano wrestled down there. I think a lot of guys, and Bobby Ocean is one of the. He's probably one of the most. Hammer Tunis. I'm not sure. I don't quite remember. I think Big Bacon, who's my personal favorite, and the Closers are my favorite tag team probably of all time, even into the bigger shows. They're just amazing. But that's where I got my birth into independent wrestling. And then from there on, we just keep going. Not as much as we used to, because obviously the pandemic kind of messed everybody up. But there's actually a show this Saturday for PvP. And obviously the Woo Cru, part of the Woo Cru will be there, not the whole crew. It's too bad because, like I said, everybody's got new jobs and they move on and things happen. Well, what can you do? We'll be there. They'll be there in spirit, But yeah, it's
funny you say that. And now it's usually me and my 7-year-old son these days at shows. I think you've seen him. He came with me at the TOS show that I saw. Oh
yeah, and that's another great. Oh, what a great promotion! Wagner Braun is one of the best guys. Oh my God, what a great show!
They run the most consistently really good shows. like
they're
beginning to
awesome.
end.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I've
And
had a chance to come to a few, and there my son and I are gonna hopefully go to the one next. I think there's one next month that's in Waterbury or one of the spots down there.
that building
And
is, it's not a big building, but it gets packed and they
it
fit so many
does.
people in there. And
Yeah.
I think I
Yep.
showed up late for the last one and struggled to find parking. I had to make my
Oh
own
yeah.
spot.
Yeah. Yeah. We had a really good pizza place down the street from one of the shows we went to. And we ran into our buddy Q the ref.
Oh,
And
I just saw
Q's
him last week. Yeah.
there honestly, there is not a better person or a better ref. And this guy's living his dream.
Yep.
He is a class act. He
Yes.
is one of the most charismatic guys you ever want to meet. He's just a great guy, but he's got a big heart and he'll help anybody out. But honestly, for getting into the game at his age, he's younger than me, but I actually met him probably 5 or 6 years back, and we were talking. That was his dream to get into wrestling, and he's doing it. You know, and you got to give the guy so much credit. And believe it or not, there's a promotion down here called Bay State Championship Wrestling.
Yep.
And we saw his first match. And oh my God, fans are going nuts. Let's
clarify that, because he's transitioning from referee to wrestler at that age.
Yes.
For the Bay State promotion.
Yes. That is oh my God. I'll be honest with you, Prof. If you get a chance, they had the coolest venue. It was almost like, you know, the NWA venue that you see now, the newer one. It's kind of like an old TV studio, but it had this aura to it. Like it was like very dark, but the lighting in it was perfect. It was just such a cool show we went to.
I worked one show for Bay State when they were first starting as a cameraman, and I never went back, but that's neither here nor there. So family issues prevented me from going back at the time. So, if they call me up, maybe I'll go. But, it's just, it wasn't in the cards, I guess, at that time period.
They got to get us on there for some play-by-play, buddy. That's what we should do.
Yeah. Eric. Well, they got my good pal talking to Tommy and his dad, Kevin Sabin, doing commentary. And, you can't get really any better than Tommy, who's a very, very good sports broadcaster. I tell you that. He is.
Much. Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen him commentating, but his ring announcing is excellent. But man, let me tell you something. Maybe a close two or right there with him, Matty. Oh, Matty DeCourty. None better. He is awesome.
Matt DeCourt, as I like to call him, the voice of New England.
He is. Oh my God, he's awesome. Yeah, I love going to his shows. He does his. And it's funny. I don't know if you remember when we were on the table. He got somebody amped up. I got chills listening to him then. You know, because I'm a mobile DJ. I've been doing it 35 years, and it's so funny. I got the whole shtick when I'm doing a wedding. I kind of go into the DX thing with "Are you ready?" and they go nuts. But Matty, when he's doing his thing, man, there's none better in the game than Matty. I call him Matty D, man. Matty D for life. None better.
One of the greatest humans I've met in the world of professional wrestling. I'll tell you that much. And he's just such a friendly guy. You know what I mean?
He's
really very animated.
Yeah. Very, very.
Nothing bad to say about the guy at all.
No. Like I said, I'm hoping. I'm hoping that he gets his break. He's one of those. Like I said, unfortunately, there's for ring announcers and stuff like that. I mean, there's a lot of independent promotions. But this kid's got that special skill that I'm hoping somebody sees. And like I said, I'm a big pusher for the closers. But let me tell you something. Brad Hollister, Big Bacon. I don't know what the heck they're waiting for to sign this guy. He did make an appearance on Raw, which was great. It was so cool seeing him. He was on Monday Night Raw. Yeah, that was awesome. Now, I'm telling you, though, this kid's had the talent. I've been following him for years. This kid's got the talent. He's got everything going for him. And shame on AEW and shame on WWE for not picking this guy up, man. If I had a promotion, he'd be the first guy I'd start it with, because honestly, he's dynamite on the mic. He's unbelievable in the ring. He's a classic heel, but he's a good face too. But he's better as a heel. And the closers, it's heels. There's none better. I don't know if you guys. I don't know if you've ever seen the closers down this way, man.
That's him
They're
and
awesome.
that's him and JT Dunn, right? Is that him and JT
No,
Dunn?
it's Jordan.
That's him
No,
and
Jordan Rowe. Jordan Rowe, I think, is his name.
Jordan.
There's kind of a new closer, and he
Okay.
wrestles in TOS. I think it's Jordan Rowe. He's very good. Don't get me
Okay.
wrong,
Jordan
but I
Rowe's
always
great.
get on
Yeah.
every. Yeah, he's great, but I get on them because I want. Yeah, if you're a fan like myself, my son, the Woo Cru. Man, we go back when the closers and they had Joey as their manager, and they
Yeah.
had I can't think of the other guy. Oh, I'm terrible with names. Oh, I don't think he's even wrestling anymore, but he was really good too. He went into ROH. I can't think of his name. It will
I'm
come to
looking it
me
up.
after. Yeah, he was
Yeah, I'm
awesome.
looking it up. I don't didn't come up the right way. Jesus.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's wrestling in New England is probably some of the best professional wrestling that there is. I mean, I absolutely love the whole New England scene. People that travel from Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Maine, New Hampshire. There's just something very special about the scene that we have here.
Oh, absolutely. You can't beat that. I mean, like I said, we're gonna get a show for $20. Can't go to the movies for $20 these days. And
No,
these guys are out there, clawing and scratching. And it's so funny because, as a wrestling fan, my biggest thing was getting on the guy's case. You're this, you're that, you're whatever. This is years ago. The world of independent wrestling taught me what the business was all about. And now, I mean, I had so much respect for them back then, growing up with Hogan and the Warrior and all those guys. I mean, Macho Man. I mean, those were my guys back in the day. But now I see the blood, sweat, and tears that the independent wrestlers have to go through day in and day out, and all the traveling they do. And there's nothing better than in the independent shows, And then seeing them get to the show is amazing. It's so cool.
yeah,
I love seeing the NXT champ. What was his name down here? I always forget.
it was Christian Casanova beforehand.
Christian Casanova, and
yeah.
I don't know if you ever went to, that probably the biggest promotion in the area is NEW. I don't know if you've been to NEW shows.
Oh yeah, they run shows probably 15 minutes from my house in Bethany, Connecticut. I just hop right on.
Yep.
I hop right on. Actually, you know what? From my house here, I put it in my my GPS because and it just takes me through the back roads. Boom, 15 minutes. I'm there at the Bethany Town Hall.
Can't beat that.
No, it's great because it's funny. Like I grew up in that town, Bethany, Connecticut, and I could never find that building no matter what. So.
Oh yeah, we drove up we went up there. It's funny though. It's almost like when we go up there, it's like the talent increases just a little bit because believe it or not, there's a lot of guys that have been on NEW that are actually in the show right now.
Yeah.
And we caught Cody on his independent run when he was their champ. And what was so cool about it was Cody, Bacon, and I think it's I always forget his name. Dijak. Dijak. Okay. Yeah. It was a triple threat match with those three. I mean, what a match that was.
Yeah.
But it was like I said, but those guys have both made. I mean, you knew Cody was going back.
But at some point, yeah.
But I don't know what the heck they're waiting for with Bacon. It really annoys me that I don't know what they're waiting for. This guy's in the best shape of his life. He's training hard.
You could say that about a lot of talent in our area, to be honest with you. There's a lot of guys out there that I feel that should be on national TV. However, look at Ichiban now going to MLW.
Oh, yeah. Ichiban's awesome. Oh, I don't know if you remember that match. It was from a show last year. I don't remember the other guy but Ichiban was in that match. I forgot the other guy's name, man. They put on a banger for like 20 minutes, man. It was awesome.
That's my son's favorite wrestler is Ichiban, my 7-year-old, or actually 8 years old. He's going to be 8 tomorrow.
Happy birthday tomorrow.
He loves Ichiban, and man, I don't think that dude could put on a bad match, honestly.
No. I've seen him 2 or 3 times, and honestly, awesome. But I'm telling you, man, TOS is something special. They really are. They've got honestly the best school in the area, and there's none better.
Yeah.
I mean, I know, like I said, I know that Q's gone up there to do a lot of work. I know that he works down here with in Kevin Landry's spot. But I know for a fact that there's none better. TOS is just awesome all the way through. They do their little house shows. It's funny, man. Have you ever been in there, man?
I have been. Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's so small. It's got it's all ring, but it's great, man. You can't get better than that,
It's like a regular size ring, and then there's probably, I think there's 4 rows of chairs, like 2 on each side, and there's probably, you can fit maybe 20 people in there most, maybe.
Yeah.
And that's kind of pushing it, because if a lot of people show up, I got stuck standing in the doorway at one point. Had to move every time a wrestler had to come out.
It was funny, yeah, because we, like I said, we're friends with a lot of the guys there. Excuse me. And then I went in to see my buddy, The Promise. And man, we're skittling in around everybody trying to get there because they're in there working on they're working on the show and working on what was going to be happening and stuff.
Yeah.
And it was funny because honestly, there's nowhere to move in there, man.
No. And it's, if you're in there in the middle of the summer, it's so damn hot in there. It's ridiculous.
Oh yeah. I mean, we had like I said, The Promise had a school in Palmer, and it was the classic old school ring, old school like barn. It almost reminded me, I don't know if you've ever seen Vern Gagne back in the day, back in AWA.
All that old footage that they show in the barn. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So not quite like that, but it had that feel to it, man, and it was nothing better. Nothing better. I mean, it's just, but that's what it is. That's how the guys have to pay their dues. I mean, you hear all the story. I mean, everybody's always saying to me, did you hear the stories about Flair when he tried to quit and Vern pulled him out of the Gagne pulled him out of the house and threw him in the car. You're not quitting. Thank God they didn't. Thank God he didn't quit, man.
He's the best of all time.
Absolutely.
So you've brought up Antonio the Promise Thomas quite a bit, who's still very active in the independent scene today as Thomas Santel. However, I think now the first time I ever saw him was as the Promise, working for Sheldon Goldberg's New England Championship Wrestling when they ran in Massachusetts. I'm trying to forget the area that they were in Massachusetts, but they also would come down and work places in Connecticut. Now they ran about Hamden, Connecticut. That's where they at the Knights of Columbus Hall. So, and I used to go to shows there kind of frequently, and that was the first time I ever saw him. And I was like, dude, this dude looks like a fucking star, literally. He's
I don't know, man. Like I said, it's just the way. I mean, like I said, he can tie you up in so many different ways. But what he's doing now is he's working with the young guys. And, the last PvP show he did, he's got a young kid. Last name's Clancy, I believe it is. And then
Ryan Clancy. Ryan
Clancy. That kid is good, man. He reminds me of a guy.
He looks old school.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just gonna say he's like an old school. He reminds me like that. I saw him wrestle last month for PvP, and he reminds me of Backlund.
Yes.
He's got that the way he just carries himself. It's like watching Backlund all over again, And then Marshall was Marshall McNeil was a manager. Right. And to go back in time, let me tell you something, man. Marshall McNeil is none better on the mic. Yeah. He's the best. But yeah, Clancy reminds me of Backlund. He's just got that old school mentality to him. But to get back to the Promise, absolutely. It's just like I said. If I know he's on a show, I'm gonna go see him. I try to get out there and see him just for his matches because the guy's just a total professional. Professional.
Yeah, and I like the gimmick that he does now. He comes out in like the varsity sweater. And
he's hilarious. Oh, it's hilarious.
Glasses. Yeah, and he still goes out there and puts on some of the best matches on the card.
Oh, I mean, I don't know if you ever see. He was in his tag team. I remember the name of his tag.
I'm in the heartthrobs.
The heartthrobs.
Yep.
Oh, you got to go back on YouTube and check out some of their promos, man. Classic, hilarious. I mean, it's so funny because he's really a very nice. He's like I say, he's a very quiet guy. But when he does the promos, he's a totally different guy. It's amazing.
Yeah,
Just like I said, man, I have nothing but wonderful things to say about this guy. He's the best.
that's awesome. So I don't think we touched upon it this recording, but you said you grew up in the Springfield area, correct?
Yes.
So that's only about 45 minutes from where I live now in Wallingford,
Yeah.
Connecticut. So
Yeah.
Wallingford actually has a very rich wrestling history. I'm not sure if you're aware of uh, the wrestling history in this area. And the guys like the Savoldis used to run here, Tony Rumble, and other such promotions. NWA New England I know came here quite a bit back in the 90s, early 2000s. So yeah, man, it's just there's so many great wrestling areas. Probably between this town and Springfield. I mean,
Oh,
Springfield
absolutely.
has a lot
Absolutely.
of great history.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, and another gentleman that I'm sure that you probably met in your endeavors in professional wrestling is Mr. Tom Burke. Mr. Tom Burke is
I
the
just saw him.
wrestling.
Yeah,
Oh,
I saw him
I
at the Fan Fest this year in Rhode Island just a couple weeks
oh
back.
yeah, he
Yeah,
is he is the nicest, most classic guy you ever met. He
absolutely.
is. I mean, if you ever get a chance and he invites you to the shrine, you got to go see his house. He's got these two rooms, man. It's like if you're a wrestling fan and you're a historian, this guy has everything. He's got pictures of wrestlers that you never even, I didn't even know existed, but they were big
Um,
back in the 50s and the 60s. And when he was, because he used to work for Killer Kowalski and he
yeah,
told us stories. He used to drive China around and Triple H before Triple H really got, they were still going to the school there, but
yeah.
none
I
better than Mr. Burke.
I was up there earlier this year, probably late winter, early spring. He had invited me up there, so I finally decided to go up there. And just walking into that room, I was amazed at the pictures on the wall, literally.
Oh, yeah. Oh, so you did get a
That,
chance to go. Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, he had all these black and whites of a lot of classic wrestlers that, yeah, I've heard of or I've seen video of. And then there's like a bunch of people surrounded on those that I've only heard the name. You know what I mean? And just to see these pictures and all the other like event posters that he has hanging up. And then of course, like, there's a couple weird belts hanging up. I don't remember what they are, but I gotta tell you, man, that was just an amazing trip, and I'd love to go up again. And sometime, I'd have to contact him to make sure that just to go up there again because there's got to be. Uh, I'd love to do it again.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's nothing like it. It's like I said, if you're a wrestling fan and you're a real fan, like we're real fans and
Yeah,
we're into it and we've been into it pretty much our whole lives. We used to go, my son and I would go see him, once a month, and he has a spot that he likes to go get coffee at. And we
yeah,
would just go and just talk wrestling. I mean, he's funny. He's friends with all the Hearts. He's telling us all these stories and how he got inducted into the New England Hall of Fame, and he deserves every kudo and every accolade. I
yeah.
first met Mr. Burke when it was old time. Oh, it was called New Age or I forgot what was it called, Jimmy? Oh, New Age Old Time Wrestling, and
Okay,
that's where we originally met him. He was doing the like before match interview
hmm,
like back in the day when they used to do it. They used to do that all the time in the old studio shows back in the day, back in the NWA days, and the AWA days, and even old WWF.
yep.
And it was classic. He's just like I said, none better. I met so many cool people in this doing this gig for years.
So that New Age Wrestling, is that Richard Blake's now New Age Wrestling? Is that the same promotion?
Yes, I
It's the same.
believe so. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It used to be. I think it veered off, and I know that Hammer Tunis owns his. I think he owns PvP now, and then
Okay.
Mr. Blake I think took the promotion or the name and went. And the promotion split.
Yep.
But we went to those shows. Those were the shows we used to love going because, like you said, that's the best thing about the independent wrestling shows. They're in these little Knights of Columbus or the more intimate setting. It's really cool.
I in June, I made my New Age Wrestling debut as television commentator for their
Oh, that
videos.
must Oh, that must have been cool.
Yeah, in Springfield, Massachusetts. It was there.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
my favorite part of that was that he was basically renting a storefront and put a ring in there, a couple rows of chairs, and I fell in love with that promotion that very day. I'm going to tell you. The fans were so invested in every single thing that was going on in that. And I said, this is old school wrestling. There was so much heat on the heels. The baby faces were just going, like the fans were just going crazy for the baby faces. The storylines were just told very well. And while I was struggling a little bit because it was my debut and I had no idea what the hell was really going on, I'll tell you this: I owe it to Matt DeCourt for saving my ass,
Oh,
sitting next to me that night.
there's
So
none. I'm telling you, man. Matty D is he's a guru of the ring promotions. You know what I'm saying? There's
yeah,
none better than that guy. You know, he's like I
I I
said,
I
he
sent
puts
him a
on many
text.
hats.
I sent him a text the next morning thanking him very much for carrying me through that because I didn't know the storylines. They didn't give me notes. I just took a picture of what was going on in the back, the match lineup, and I worked with what I had. And Matt helped me. And then when I watched the video back, I thought I failed, and I was just like, he's never having me back. But I watched the videos back, and I said, hey, I did a lot better than I gave myself credit for, to be
Oh,
honest with you. It ended up delivering. So
well, that's great. Like I said, you
yeah,
know, you're knocking something off the bucket list. You know,
yeah,
my personal thing I want to do just once is be a manager, just once, or do some like color commenting. I don't think I want to take I wouldn't want to take the reins as the
yeah,
main guy, but I think I'd be a really good color guy. You know,
yeah.
I'd be kind of like, you know, I'd be Bobby Heenan to Monsoon, where Monsoon would be doing all the commentating. I'd be the other guy, you know, throwing in his 2 cents. You know, like Corey Graves. Now, there's none better. He's the best.
Yeah.
He's absolutely
Yes.
one of the best. You know.
You speaking of Corey Graves, now we were talking about New England and professional wrestling. Sterling James Keenan. Now he worked at the independent circuit under that name prior to WWE and becoming Corey Graves.
Oh wow, I
So
didn't realize that. Yeah, I mean, like I
yep,
said, there's. It's funny because down our way, I wish I had gone to more independent shows when I was younger. I remember they used to have them at the Hukilau in Chicopee, and
yep,
Piper would be there. And you know, something I used to always see the little sign. It would say professional wrestling. It would be up on the you know the lawn, you know, 20 yards from the place. But I don't know
yeah.
why. Just at the time, didn't go. You know, my son was very young at the time, probably too young to really understand it. But then when he got older, I mean, we went all over the place. I mean, honestly, prof, we went everywhere. Every time we'd see a show, we're there. Let's go. We're there.
I think I started going to independent wrestling shows in the 90s, probably 93, 94. Now there was a
Wow.
group.
So you've
Yeah.
been going for old. Yeah, you've been going a lot longer than I have as far
Yeah.
as the independent stuff goes. You
Yeah.
know.
Well, once I discovered independent wrestling on TV, probably in the late 80s, maybe with the Savoldis and their CW
Yeah.
or what have you, it was all over for me. I decided that I like this. You know what I mean? There was something special about independent wrestling. You got to see guys that maybe have disappeared off WWF or NWA or TV or World Class TV or AWA TV, or, and then they would pop up for a match or two, or you got to see guys that you never saw before. You got to see these young
That's
guys that would
yep.
go on to be major stars.
Yeah, and that's the great thing. And like I told my son, you know, my son and I went when he was young, you know. But I told him, I said, you know, in 20 years, you're going to remember all this. You're going to get a chance to see. Like I said, he met a list of guys, you know, and it's been great for him because he watched them on TV when he was little. But I said, now you should get a chance to meet these guys, which is a really cool thing,
Yeah.
you know. I mean, because you know, my buddies and I were the fans back pre-Woo Cru days. My best buddies and I would go to all the wrestling challenges, and we'd be sitting there. Oh my, those things were brutal. We get
4
there at
hours.
7 o'clock. Oh,
Yeah.
whoa! I'm talking 6, 8 hours. Don't forget that back then everything was taped. They didn't have like
Yeah. They would do.
wrestling
Yep.
challenge, wrestling superstars were all taped.
Yeah.
you'd see a guy, you'd see a guy literally getting carried out of the ring on a stretcher. Maybe a half hour later, he's back in the ring. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
And you'd see, like you said, the same guys 3 or 4 times they would wrestle. And of course, there was They recorded for like 4 shows, basically a month's worth of shows.
At least.
And then they had dark matches. They had dark matches to start the show. They had dark matches in between. And of course, like the main event basically would be something else. So my first ever show was a WWF TV taping for Superstars in New Haven, Connecticut, 1988. That's my first show. I had
I
been
was
watching
probably
wrestling
there.
for about, yeah, I could tell you. Well, I'll tell you the main event in just a second. I was watching wrestling for about a good 5 or 6 years at that time, and I never went to a show until 1988. The main event was Andre and Savage, and it ended in a disqualification.
I think we were there. I don't know if the same show. It was right around then, or it might have been. It might have been. I'm sorry. You know what? It might have been early '90s. The show we saw was when Steamboat came back, and he was going. He was going at it with Savage. That's when Steamboat supposedly crushed his larynx. Remember?
That was. I think that was 1987.
Yeah, so maybe it was actually before. That was actually before. But yeah, that's the same way we did. My introduction to wrestling was in 1979. I think I told you about it earlier. My first match, the first main event I ever saw was Bob Backlund and Pat Patterson. That's when Pat Patterson had come in as the IC champ. And that, oh my God, that was amazing. Those two guys are sitting up on, that's when the cages were not that stupid. I remember that for a few years they had that cage that had like the bigger squares so the guys could climb out easier.
The blue cage, yeah,
the blue cage. This was the old school like regular cage.
Yeah.
These guys are going at it, man. That was, oh my God. But you know what? We saw those guys like for 3 months in a row. That's how they would do it. They would set up. I think I actually saw. I'm sorry, I might have went the month before, but I know a lot of times back in the '70s they would have like a 3-match thing. They would set it up like they did with Dusty Rhodes and Superstar Billy Graham in Madison Square Garden. They'd have a match, one guy get disqualified, and they'd have another month. The guy would get disqualified, and they'd go at it the last time when they had the bull rope match.
Right.
And that's how they do it. But that was my first endeavor into wrestling. My uncle actually took me, and then. My father, never forget, he goes, I'm never coming to this stuff again. He went once, and that was it for him, one and done.
I think my parents might have taken me 2 or 3 times between 1988, 90, 91. And then after that, they would just drop me off, or I'd take they dropped me off at the shopping center so I could take the city bus downtown.
There you go. That's funny. That's hilarious. But you know what it is, man? If you're a fan and you get bit by the bug, man, the wrestling bug, it's in you. It's like these guys, it's just in you. You know, I don't know if you go back in time. I was a Hulkamaniac growing up, man. I was,
yeah.
Oh my God. And when you would go see Hogan at a place, when he came out and his music hit, that place would go nuts. Yeah. It was shaking. The beams were shaking. And the only other time I ever felt that, we went to a Nitro in Worcester. That's when the NWO was real big. Sting was up in the rafters. Sting didn't come down from the rafters. He actually came in right through the regular entrance. But he had his bat, cleared out the whole NWO. Unfortunately, the cameras went off. But he was hitting the turnbuckle after he cleared out the NWO with his bat. That place was bananas. I've never heard decibels like that in my life. Unreal. I get chills talking about it right now. Those are the best.
The only Nitro, I went to 2 WCW shows flat, period. One was a house show in probably 95, 96 in Hartford Civic Center, formerly the Hartford Civic Center, now the XL Center. I don't really remember much about that. I'd have to look that up. However, the Nitro came to Hartford once, and it was the Ultimate Warrior's debut. And
really? That's when he went to I remember, yeah. You said it at first, like, oh, that's right. Warrior was in WCW for a little bit.
For like, what, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? Probably.
Yeah, that bust, the match with Hogan was a big bust. When he tried to throw the flame in his face, and Hogan tried doing it, and then something happened. He burned his hand, or something happened. It just didn't work out.
Yeah, it was pretty pathetic.
It was bad.
Pathetic attempt. And from what I understand, they just brought Warrior in because Hogan wanted to get his win back. basically.
Yeah, but that was, I mean, come on, man. That was for us. I mean, we went to the DX pay-per-view, and that's when Stone Cold drove his truck down to the ring when he was fighting The Rock before Rock was real big. And man, it was when Rock was just starting to get over. Oh my God, the place was going nuts. That's when, like I said, the best eras was Hogan, as far as me growing up. And then when I first started going back, I mean, when we were kids, I don't know if you remember this. You're like I said, you're probably a lot younger than I am, but I was probably 11 or 12. And every Saturday night, you only got so many channels on cable, and the horse racing from Yonkers would be on, and it would be on like you'd see the guys going around the track, and all of a sudden, and for us it was a big deal because when wrestling was on at midnight and we got a chance to stay up and watch it, and they had the old interviews from Madison Square Garden, and they would show clips of Backlund or whoever was champ at the time, and it was the best. Nothing like it. So if you talk to somebody besides me who's in their 50 something, and they're big wrestling fans from back in that era, they'll tell you the same thing.
You can't be that much older than me. I mean, I'm going to be 48 in 2 months.
So, yeah. So you were probably really young, but you might have remembered. I got about 7 years on you. Or
you're not
actually
that
8 years. No, I'm not. But I'm saying though, it's just that there was just that time in between. You might have been really young when that was.
But in pop culture and history and stuff like that, it does make a difference, especially in the wrestling world or music world. It definitely plays a part on what your preference is or what what you're familiar with.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, I don't know if you've had a chance. I know you're not really watching much WWE, but if you get a chance, if you're watching the AEW, that's good. That's personally, I think it's better right now. I haven't had a chance to see Collision. I've watched some on YouTube, but unfortunately, our cable package doesn't carry TNT or TBS right at the moment. So I really haven't had a chance to check out a full Collision show, but what I'm hearing is supposed to be really good. There's a podcaster named GD from New York.
Yep,
you get a chance to listen to his show. Oh, he's hilarious. I mean, he just curses too much. He doesn't need to curse all that much, but he is very knowledgeable about all this, and that's just fun to watch. I love watching his reviews on it all, but that's good stuff. That's a really good the promotion's really good.
It's not that I don't enjoy the WWE or AEW. It's just I get very frustrated with watching both promotions. It's when AEW first started, I thought there was a lot of promise there, and then I thought that they just had some kinks to work out, right? Because it's a new promotion, they have to find their bearings basically. And then it got really, really good, but I was like, there's still a little bit something missing, but it is really good. It's not, WWF in 1985 good, or what have you. But then all of a sudden it just took a turn for the worse, and I struggle to watch it. You know what I mean? Sometimes when I don't, I work Wednesday nights, so I get home probably just as it's ending, but I do record it, and then I'll start to watch it. And that's another program. If within half an hour, if I can't get into what's going on, I'll just shut the whole thing down and just say, well, it's a good attempt, but
I mean,
I can't do it.
I'm the same way. I mean, unfortunately, that Vince was, with everything going on with all the scandals and stuff, Triple H took WWE's creative over. And let me tell you something. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Oh, night and day for like 6 months. I wasn't missing Raw. It was like the old days again. Then all of a sudden he came back in the picture and it's getting all watered down and all boring again. Like it was, I mean, the guy, JD from New York, the guy is so passionate about what he does. Because that's what he does for a living. So he's really good. But like I said, he's so passionate about what he's watching. He gets so disgusted with it. I mean, not as bad. When Triple H came, it was like a totally different story. Yeah. And he really likes AEW, which is great. But the product got so watered down for so long. I mean, it was hard to watch. I mean, it's right now, it's still hard to watch. I mean, what I usually do is I go through it, I'll DVR it, and I fast forward through everything. I mean, I don't know, like I said, I don't know if you're keeping up with it. right now.
I still read the Observer, so it's like, I'm on the site. I read it probably the next morning,
Yeah, I mean,
the results and stuff like that. And
I mean,
same thing. Honestly,
yeah.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but
Oh no,
SmackDown
no,
to
no, it's
me,
okay.
SmackDown to me is the better show, to be honest with you, out of for
Oh,
WWE.
absolutely, because you got the bloodline. The bloodline,
Yeah,
honestly, that's been awesome. That's been the
yeah,
best. That's been the best storyline in the last 10, 12, 15 years, easily. And
yeah,
Judgment Day is really good too, but unfortunately, they're overexposing it and they're cramming it down your throat. They're on like every segment in some way or another. It just doesn't make any sense. And that's the thing. I mean,
yeah.
it's all good. Hey man, there's some people, like I said, I'm not as rabid of a fan as some of these guys are that have like 18,000 belts and they go to WrestleMania and spend $10,000 on a ringside seat. No, thank you.
Oh,
But I mean,
yeah, no, I went to WrestleMania. Last one I went to was 35. I think my ticket was only a couple $100s. I could barely see shit. Um, so,
yeah,
I spent a couple $100. I brought probably between food. That was Kurt Angle's retirement match, so I made sure that I wanted to get my Kurt Angle retirement shirt. You know what I mean? Because
sure,
it was going to be
sure.
something special. That was the only piece of merchandise I bought that day. And I brought my
Yeah.
son, who brought like what the hell was the guy's name? I think he brought like an Enzo shirt or something, because they were pretty involved at the
Oh, they
time
were
still.
real over. Yeah, they were
Yeah,
very over at the time.
yeah,
And the thing is, I'll be honest with you though. I don't know if you get a chance if you, I get because if you have the Peacock network, that's like the old
oh, yeah,
WWE network. Get
yeah.
a chance, go on and watch some of the old NXT, the black and gold
It's
days.
different.
Oh my god,
It's completely
that's
different.
awesome. That's old
Yeah,
school right there. And it was funny.
yeah,
It was the best product going. It was the main product was terrible because they don't know. I mean,
yeah.
not that that's not the talent. The talent's incredible.
It's the
These are the
writing.
best.
Yeah,
They're the best in the
yeah.
world. It's their horrible writing. And you hate to say it because I know those people are trying to do their best, but man, oh man, you don't know. It was bad. I mean, I didn't
I mean,
watch it.
if you
I was watching it here and there, but not like religiously like I used to.
no, I used to watch. I watched it every Wednesday, live. It was on for 1 hour, I think 8 o'clock, right, or something like that. And then they made it when they went to USA. They made it 2 hours. I was excited. I was like, oh
Oh, it
man,
was great because you always knew you had
yeah,
something good to watch because the shows were great. I mean, like I said,
yeah.
come on,
And it was the best. I still have my old NXT T-shirt, the black and gold one. So,
oh yeah,
it
because it was
was
done. There was
with the
nothing
original
better.
logo. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
was, and the talent there worked extremely hard. And a lot of those guys were guys that we were watching in the New England scene. You know what I mean? In the
Oh yeah,
independents.
definitely, definitely. It's funny because with Casanova, I kept telling him I'd see him, after the matches or at intermission. I kept yelling NXT, 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 and I kept telling him, I go, it's just a matter of time. And he goes,
Yeah,
oh, I appreciate that. I go, listen, I know talent. It's a matter of time, and that's what I say with Bacon. It's just a matter of time. It's just that's all it is with that guy. It's a matter of time because he's such a
I think.
talented individual. That's the guy I think is gonna go. Ichiban is heading there too, man. And you know what it reminded me? It was like watching Mysterio. He's like
Yeah,
but he's even better. He's better.
yeah.
He's
That's
awesome.
incredible. That's incredible
And
to think
then
about.
and the other guy, the other kid that is gonna be a star is Mike Skyros. That
Yes.
kid is amazing. And he was on the round table once or twice. He's a very down to earth kid. And let me tell you something, talent. He's just got that. You just see it. Like
Yeah.
when I knew like Mercedes, you just see it and you knew he had it. This kid's got it. Bacon's got it. Ichiban has got it. You know what I'm saying? That's you
Yeah.
just see with a yeah, I just see it. They're gonna go. He's going. I'm telling you, all three of those guys are gonna are going. They're awesome. You
I could see
know?
Skyros going somewhere like AEW, where there's going to be like a work rate type, promotion where he's just going to go up there, because
Yes.
that guy is one of the. I mean, he's kind of, how would you call it? I mean, he's kind of a technician, right? Uh, he would fit in with like Ring of Honor, like the old school Ring of Honor
Yeah,
type
he's
group,
got like he's got an old school tint to him a little bit
Yeah,
that I've seen. He reminds me a little bit about he's got Kurt Angle tendencies.
yeah,
he's the kid's good. And I
He's
noticed
great.
that my son and I know, oh, he's unreal. My son and I noticed when we went to a TOS show that he was on. And I looked at my son, I said, that's the next big deal. That kid's awesome. And the guy,
And he's
the
getting
match,
there.
he really is.
Yeah.
The match I want to see. If I was a promoter in this area, I'd figure out a way to do it. I want to get him and Bacon in the ring. I've been yelling for that match for the last 2 or 3 years. Oh my God, I'd love to see those two go. That would be awesome.
So you're saying that, but my what do you call it? Dream match for New England. I want to see Skyros and Kylan King in a best of 7 match.
Oh yeah, that would be
or
good
best
too.
of 7 series, excuse me.
Absolutely. Yeah,
And
that would be awesome.
I think because Kylan King, we haven't spoken about him on this show yet, on tonight. That there's something special about that. Right out there, like one of the best, like junior heavyweights. Like maybe do a good junior heavyweight tournament run in Japan, something to that effect. Is just that damn good.
That's awesome. Like I said, and you got guys down my way now. There's a lot of, I'm telling you, and there's a lot of great, there's a lot of great talent. It's just like I said, these guys just have to get. The problem is there's so many guys and girls that are getting into the business now that it's hard to get noticed by everybody. And like I said, a lot of these guys, I don't know if you've ever, like I said, and the one thing I have to say about WWE is that their documentaries and Austin's podcast when he was doing the Stone Cold sessions. If you go back in time, the coolest, it reminded me of our show, The Round Table. You go back and watch Legends of Wrestling. That's when they had like Michael Hayes on there. Mean Gene was the main commentator. JR was on there. Flair was on there. Dusty Rhodes. That's awesome. So if you haven't had a chance to listen to those.
I think Bockwinkel was a regular on there. If I remember.
That's the best.
Yeah,
that's so cool. That's so cool. And then they had the I don't know if you watch any Dark Side of the Rings. Those are pretty cool to watch.
Yeah, I just watched what did I watch? I just watched this whole season actually. This was a really good season, I thought. It's the Marty Jannetty episode was a little weird, was the Marty Jannetty one, but it was still a pretty interesting season.
It really was. I mean, and it's sad because he seems like, I've never personally met him, but he seems like a decent guy. Listening to him,
Yeah. He's got jokes, you know what I mean? I think my personal opinion is that he does a lot of that stuff on purpose. You know what I mean? Just to be an ass.
Oh yeah, to get the attention.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because the thing is, you got to understand, a lot of these guys, they get, like I said, they get bitten by that wrestling bug. They hear that, they get that adrenaline pump from the crowd. Yeah. I mean, those guys are wrestling in front of thousands and thousands of sold out houses. They can thank Hogan for that because Hogan was the main guy back in the 80s. Yeah. He was the main guy. And I recently just missed meeting him. I met Jimmy Hart. We were down in Tampa with our family in the area in Portland or in Orlando. We went down to Clearwater and we saw Hogan's Beach Shop. Oh my God. Talk about a shrine.
I've seen pictures of it and it looks amazing.
It's cool. It's so cool. But it was funny because Jimmy Hart was there and he was kind of doing like an unofficial signing. And we were talking to him. I go, can I flip you 20 or something to put towards whatever? Just because, he's a super nice guy. I don't know if you ever had a chance to meet him. I mean, we talked for like a half hour, man. And we were talking all about Lawler and that he had the stroke. And we were very concerned he was doing okay because he's a guy she grew up listening to. Right. He's a very down-to-earth, really nice guy. And he's just very genuine. And he was telling me that he was going to be on, he was going to be going, I forgot who he inducted at the Hall of Fame this year. He was inducting somebody. I can't remember who it was, but
he wasn't Kaufman, was it? Andy Kaufman?
Yes, it was Andy Kaufman. Yeah. He told me all about it. He's like, yeah, I'm going down to Mania and I'm going down for the Hall of Fame because I'm inducting Andy Kaufman. It was just so cool to sit there and talk wrestling with this guy. It's so wild. I mean, it's like you're you're almost pinching yourself going, I watched this guy growing up, and I'm sitting there talking to him face to face, you know?
Yeah. That's the
It's
part
so,
of wrestling that's incredible is you can run into these guys, and sometimes, not always, but there's always the times where some of these guys are going to be so completely normal and just chill and talk and sit there and
oh,
take their time with you for a good half hour, like you said.
oh, it's nothing, buddy. I mean, Mikey D, our friend Mikey D. I mean, oh my God, what an amazing kid he is. Well, Mikey D's told me stories about how he's met so many different guys and how they're just like the coolest guys ever, and
Yeah.
that was a joy of the round table, is really getting to know these people that we were on with, and like our brothers and sisters, I call them, of the round table. That was kind of like our era. All of us getting a
Yeah.
chance to do that. I'd love to do like a reunion show. I'm always busting Kincaid. I'm like, come on, man, let's do a round table. Let's do a round
He's
table.
he's always saying that there's never what is it that nobody could he couldn't match the schedules or something to that effect.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. It's totally different. I mean, like I said, nobody had anything going on. You couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
I think the best show we ever had was an improv show we did. I don't know what happened.
I remember this evening.
Do you remember that
all right. So I'm sitting there on my couch, and my freaking Facebook Messenger, the group chat, basically just starts ringing my phone. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? And everyone was,
you know what that was? It literally,
you guys butt dialed or something.
Yeah. I don't know what I was doing. I was coming back from somewhere, and I must have my phone in my pocket. And all of a sudden I hear, Kulik. Looking around going, oh, shoot, it's Don Kincaid. I go, what are we doing? You want to do an improv? He goes, what are you talking about? I go, well, come on, we're here. We might as well. And then you came on, and Mikey came on, and Juicy came on, I think. It was pretty wild. And then you guys always be hollering about my dogs.
Ain't nothing wrong with dogs.
No, it's like,
I want to get a dog. My wife won't let me get a dog.
There's Bobo right there.
There you go. So, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, all good stuff. None better. Yeah, like I said, none better.
You know what? We should book a reunion. We should do it here. I'll distribute it. Kincaid's supposedly done for the time being, so let's do it. I'll bring it.
Yeah, jump on. Hey, anytime. Just let me know. And like I said, with our DJ business, most times we're mostly busy Fridays and Saturdays, but any other day, I'd do it in a heartbeat. Absolutely. Can't get better than that.
So, Jimmy, we should wrap it up a little bit because we're going for about an hour. That's usually what I try to keep these things.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
I want to tell, so for everybody that's listening that enjoyed this conversation, I enjoyed this conversation quite a bit. Why don't you tell everybody where you could be found on social media?
Oh, for myself, you can just look up Jim Kulik on Facebook. And my DJ business is called the Kules Connection. And if you're in any need of somebody to do your wedding, we've been in it for about 35 years. Do weddings, Jack and Jill's, birthday parties, bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, pretty much whatever the occasion calls for as far as that goes. And just, hey, you want to talk wrestling, you want to, and as far as the Woo Cru, we're just there. We have a little page. You don't really do too much with it. I don't really, unfortunately, have the time to sit there and get into it too much, but it is a fun thing. It's like I said, it's just to honor Ric Flair. And we go to the shows and just yell and have a good time and try to get basically doing our job to get the fans and get the guys and the gals all fired up. So that's us, man, right there, brother.
It's professional wrestling. You can't go and be quiet.
No, that's our job. They know when we walk in the building, believe me.
Jimmy, thank you so much for doing this, and I appreciate it. I'm glad this actually, we were stuck for a guest for tonight, and
hey, man,
I just put it
anytime.
out there that somebody canceled, and you jumped in, so I said, you know what, that's not a bad idea at all. So.
Yeah, hey, anytime. Let me know, man. I'd love to come on the show. It's been an honor. Thank you so much for having me, man.
Thank you so much, and I want everybody to go look this guy up and hire him for all your events. He's a good DJ.